Entry for December 6th, 2013. Breakfast is breaking from your fast. We had spoken language first and then created written language to jive with what we had already created, letters to represent distinct noises we can make. These two small examples reminded me of an awareness issue I had experienced in high school. Every now and again, I would encounter an individual I knew of and would shockingly become aware that they looked slightly different than how I had pictured them in my mind. It was like I was really seeing them for the first time, almost like the heightened awareness you get from marijuana, where you suddenly take note of details in a room you've never really considered before. It's suddenly becoming conscious of things you normally just glazed over. They're like blurs in your mind that suddenly become sharp. This makes sense because you've never really stared at people's faces, and when you finally do, you might be surprised by what you find. The reason I wrote this down was because on occasion I come across what should be very obvious, intuitions about things, or I'm not really sure what you call it, but like, you look at something and later in life you look at it again and you go, oh, how come I never looked at it that way? That actually makes more sense, or this explains something. I mean, I've always just looked at the word breakfast as breakfast. I've never really stopped and thought about it. I mean, they're such mundane things, you don't pay attention to it until you stop and you run across a reference and you read something like breakfast is breaking from your fast. And you think, oh, that makes a lot of sense. And the thing that I referenced just now about high school was something that I had brought up to certain people occasionally, because I didn't really understand what it was that I was recognizing. Like, at the time, it was a strange phenomenon. It was literally me knowing these people, but, they're not really close friends. They're just acquaintances, or friends that you kind of friends with, but you don't, it's not like you see them that often. And I would have this image of their face and how they look in my mind. And then a month later, I'd run into them in the hallway or something, and I would stop and talk to them. And I would look at their face and I'd go, this is different than what I had originally pictured. There's something slightly different about their face that's surprising to me. And I suppose maybe that's not that uncommon, because in high school, kids are changing kind of rapidly. 1 month they could have a clean face and the next month they have acne, or they're, whatever, they change their hairdo or whatever. But this is interesting to me because it all comes back to this awareness issue that there's so much of life that we glaze over, that we just make assumptions about. And then it ties into with my arguments about belief. When you believe in things, you just kind of assume that the world operates in a certain way, and you just disregard anything outside of that paradigm. If you can heighten your awareness and you can constantly get into a habit, I guess, of constantly asking yourself, am I being fully aware of my environment right now, or what I'm saying, or what someone else is saying? Really analyze every word and every grouping of words and the sentence as a whole and the paragraph and how they're saying it. There's so many levels, so much depth to this world. And I think the layman, and I would consider myself in that group, just a normal person, we just glaze over it. We don't notice. And that's what this entry was all about. It's just another, I guess, just a reminder really to myself that, don't forget just how unaware we are. And even someone like me, who I've spent the last few years trying to break these patterns and be more aware, and yet I still come across time and time again examples of my me not noticing things, my awareness being not completely clear, So I think it's a constant battle. It's probably a lifetime battle, unless you're born maybe a genius or something. Maybe then you'll notice everything. But for normal people, it's probably this constant thing you have to do. And meditation also ties into that. If you haven't tried meditating, it does help a lot. If you can one of the things with meditation that's interesting in regards to awareness, and I've mentioned this before, is simply that you'll start to notice things within your own body that you've never noticed before. Little pains and aches and feelings, and you'll notice your heartbeat in a weird spot or something like that. There's all sorts of little physical things that you'll never notice in your entire life unless you meditate. And that's kind of one of the things that allude to this awareness, heightened awareness. So that's what I got for today. So thanks for listening as always. Please consider subscribing above. Everyone helps tremendously. And yeah, see you next time.